Now, earlier today, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, she traveled to Washington to testify about the dangers of Chinese land ownership. In other words, Chinese nationals in the United States. Here's some of what she had to say.
Most of our processing facilities are owned by the Communist Party or Chinese government. Now they are coming for our land. Reports now show that China owns about 384,000 acres of U.S. ag land, valued at over $2 billion. This should be alarming to all of us. USDA admits that this may not even account for all of the land that they own. The Chinese Communist Party is not our friend. They're not our partner, and they're not our ally. They're our enemy. And they're a rapidly expanding national security threat that can't be ignored. So let me be clear. They are buying up our entire food supply chain, and when America can't feed itself and we rely on other members of another country to feed us, it becomes a national security issue.
A huge national security issue. Look at these recent reports. Chinese investors and Chinese nationals now own 384,000 acres of land in the U.S. Thousands and thousands of acres of farmland, thousands of acres of ranch land, and land near military installations. One Chinese company bought 370 acres in Grand Forks, North Dakota, for a corn mill, just 12 miles from an Air Force base that houses some of our top intelligence and surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. That is a major national security threat. Here's a question. Ask yourself, do you think China would allow any American to buy their farmland, their ranch land, or any land near any of China's military installations? Of course not. Meanwhile, as lawmakers push to ban TikTok in the U.S., the company, they're urging users to call their representatives. That's leading to some very disturbing messages like this one North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis received. Take a listen.
Okay, listen. If you ban TikTok, I will find you and shoot you. That's people's jobs, and that's my only entertainment. And people make money out there too. You know, I'm trying to get rich like that. Anyways, I'll shoot you and find you and cut you into pieces. Bye.
All right, let's first be clear. There's nothing funny at all about threatening violence against any elected official. And I hope they find whoever left that message and bring that person to justice. Now, TikTok replied on Twitter, condemning the threat, calling it unacceptable. Anyway, here with reaction, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is with us. All right, can you explain to me why America, why our great country would allow the Chinese nationals or the people that have connections to the Communist Party in China to buy our ranch land, farmland, and land near our military installations? Can you explain that to me? Because I'm having a hard time understanding why.
Well, first of all, Sean, that tweet and that TikTok message that was left at the senator's voicemail is exactly the kind of actions you can expect when TikTok is involved. That is owned by the Chinese Communist Party. Their number one desire is to destroy America. So that is why we should be alarmed at the amount of influence that they have in this country. They unleashed a pandemic and a virus on the world at the exact same time they released TikTok to make it proliferate and go out there and influence our youth and people to make them think that threats like that are funny. So that is absolutely insanity that those kinds of things were happening and that TikTok was doing that, but that's what we can expect from China. So this marks my 30th year that I have been working on policy, ag policy. I'm a lifelong farmer and rancher. I've watched China come in and buy up our fertilizer companies. They bought up our crop care companies, like our chemical companies. They stole our genetics. They've bought up our processing facilities. Now they're coming after our land. And when they do that, Sean, they will control our food supply. And the country that can't feed ourselves, we are no longer in control of our destiny. So if we think a pandemic was scary, imagine what happens when they control our food. We're only 3 meals away from a crisis in this country. People will break down in panic if they can't put food on the table and there's nothing at the grocery store for their families. So wake up, America. China's not just doing one thing. They're doing 12 different things, and they're spying on our military installations, building up their military, manipulating their currency, stealing our intellectual property. We had spies in South Dakota this summer. They were spies that came into our state that wanted to tour our facilities and steal our genetics and acted like they were good actors. And just days later, the State Department called us and said, did you meet with these people because they were spies and they were there to steal all of your information and your company's private information? And if you did meet with them, then we need to debrief you. And thankfully, we had refused all their meetings. But that's what they're doing, and it's from every angle, and they're crossing the southern border on purpose because their government is sending them here to spy on us. So I'm alarmed that the American people haven't woken up to this yet. I mean, be a little inconvenienced and give up TikTok, for God's sakes. I mean, they literally are using it to change our minds and to manipulate our thoughts and our ideals and our values. And our country is too important for that.
You know, when I hear from people like you and Josh Hawley and Marco Rubio, people that have access to information I don't have, nor am I sophisticated, technologically speaking, enough that I would know this myself. So I'm listening to prominent conservative voices warning us about that. But back to the land issue, back to military installation land or land near military installations or farmland or ranch land. China would never allow any American to buy their land, ever. Why would we be that stupid? Why are we allowing that to happen? Why is that not a no-brainer that both parties would agree on?
That's what I don't understand. They wouldn't even allow their own people to own land in China. So the fact that we would allow them to come in here and to purchase up our land and put an enemy right next to our greatest national defense security platforms that will defend this country is crazy. We had a law in the books in South Dakota for years, but it had no reporting requirement and no consequences if China bought land. So we fixed that. I brought the bill forward and our legislature passed it. It's in law. Every state should pass that law. We need to know they may own more land that we don't even know about. It's just that nobody's reporting it.
Pretty chilling scenario. I hope people wake up. Better pay attention. And by the way, America needs to buy that land back. If you want to give them fair market value, give them fair market value. Take it back.
Thank you, Sean.
And it should be a top priority, just like our open borders being closed should be a top priority. Governor, thank you.